Let's shift focus to another big story we have been covering here on WION. It's been high election drama in Europe, and as predicted, the bloc has taken a sharp right turn, but it had more national ramification than it was expected before. At the top of the list, French President Emanuel Macron dissolved his country's parliament and called for snap elections right after the exit polls from the EU elections. Two phases of the French parliamentary elections will be held on the 30th of June and the 7th of July. Macron's unexpected decision could hand major political power to the far right after years of being on the sidelines.
C'est pourquoi.
It is a situation to which I cannot resign myself. The rise of nationalists and demagogues is a danger not only for our nation, but also for Europe and for France's place within it, along with the world.
Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally Party won more than double of Macron's party. 28-year-old Jordan Bardella is the party president, and he is confident of the party's future.
I invite all French people tonight, wherever they come from, to join us and to come work alongside us. The path that leads to renewal will be demanding, but we are ready to lead the country through it.
There were other visibly big shifts too. In Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats were overtaken by the far-right AfD, winning a record 16.5% of the votes. This comes ahead of federal elections next year. The AfD has tapped into frustrations with Scholz's government. The Ukraine war and state services burdened by rising migration and cost of living crisis have definitely hit hard. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni and her far-right Brothers of Italy party is rejoicing. They have been forecast to gain more than the double seats they had in the European Parliament in the earlier election, and that will hand her new power to influence policy in the EU. Other right turns were made in Austria, Greece, Poland and Spain. The provincial results for 23 countries is up on your screens. The centre-right European People's Party won 191 seats, confirming its role as the largest bloc in the European Parliament. The Socialist and Democrats SND bloc was always projected to come in second, and they won 135 seats. As it stands, the coalition between the EPP, SND and Renew would reach a majority. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen seems confident of a new mandate.
So, no majority can be formed without EPP, and together, and that is important, and Manfred, you said it, together with others, we will build a bastion against the extremes from the left and from the right. We will stop them. This is for sure.
Now, as the results keep trickling in from the European Union, here are some reactions coming in from the voters on the ground across several European nations.
This is a historic catastrophe for our country. We are facing France, which is forgetting its history. I think that people need to wake up, reopen their history books, know what cohabitation is, and discover that the extreme right or the extreme left or all these parties which advocate disagreement between people are leading us straight into the wall.
Ja, es ist schockierend.
It's shocking. I mean, everyone knows by now that there is a drift to the right. But I still kind of lived in my own bubble, thinking not everybody would vote for them. But it's daunting to see written in black and white how many people voted for these parties, Europe-wide, not just here in Germany.
To some extent, politics related to broadly understood immigration, opening the door to Europe. I'm not against it, but we must take into account the real moods in European societies and meet it if we want to save what is more important, democracy.
The rise of the far-right parties and the extremes in general always happens when the democracy is not working well, when the middle class is suffering in general, when the situation is like the one we live in nowadays.
Now, John Bevere gets us the latest from Bristol.
Yeah, that's certainly, as you say, we seem to have had this shift to the right. Some countries, the centre ground still being maintained, but that list that you said there, countries such as Germany, Austria and Italy, all having a shift to the right when it comes to the European elections, and of course France most dramatically as well, because of the impact that's now having on their domestic politics with this snap election being announced. As to why, well, there are some who will say it comes down to things like migration, which traditionally the right wing have always had a tougher stance on. So some people say that we have voters wanting solutions and drastic solutions, so they are looking to the right to try and solve the problem of migration that they say. Others saying that the cost of living crisis has caused many problems for people in places like France, so they are just looking for an alternative to what is currently being offered up. So we have all these different views as to why, but what we are very sure on is that it has happened in many of the leading European countries. So it is something that the European Parliament will now, with this new makeup, we'll need to see what the sort of policies are coming out of there. And of course, in these countries as well, we have this election about to take place in France. In Austria as well, we're expecting parliamentary elections in the autumn, and the far-right party there is saying that they are very confident that they are going to claim domestic control after these successes in the European election.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.